All right, that's my guy, Chris. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday at 10 a.m. This is open to everybody, and I am so honored to have Nate Butcher that is going to be speaking today. I'm going to let him have a floor. He can pretty much talk about whatever he wants, but the one thing about Nate is that he has been with EXP for a while. He's done everything wrong, but now he's doing everything right. And believe
Oh,
me,
gee.
I've been there before too. I've done it all wrong, and now I'm trying to do it right. And Nate is definitely setting the pace for all of us. So, Nate, take it away, my brother.
Hey, Elgin, have you ever heard an introduction like that? Wow, is that a good introduction? I wish they would have introduced me like that in Dallas when I went up there. He did everything wrong. Now he's doing everything right. I appreciate you guys. I'm really happy. I'm really happy. So there's a couple of things. So what I was asked to do, and I did this morning at 7 a.m. for a group in Dallas. I'll just tell you real quick. So I just went to the regional in Dallas, which is just like the one they're having tomorrow here in LA. I wanted to do that because I actually have a funeral to go to tomorrow, and I'm not going to be able to go to our other one, but to go to this one. So they asked me to speak in Dallas. So I did go. It was awesome just to give you guys a little heads up. So I was there. I got to be at the table with Michael Valdez, which is our growth CEO or VP, and then also with Glenn, and it was really great. So we had a super good time. But I want to tell you a little funny story before we got. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to watch my clock, okay, and I'm gonna do 40 minutes, and that's it, 35 to 40 minutes, and I'm going to give you a version of the talk I did in Dallas. So I have a 90-minute presentation that I do on how to build your business through relationships and relationships only and not spend any money. It's for the single agent. That's why I worked for 18 years was as a single agent. That's what I did. So I'm going to go through that deck with you guys. It's an abbreviated version. I won't get into all the details. I love to tell my stories, right? So because I like to tell stories so much, it's a 90-minute presentation, but we're gonna narrow it down to 40 minutes. But it was so funny. So we go, there's 500 people packed in Dallas. It was great. So I'm sitting at the table with Glenn, which is always makes you feel real good. I hadn't seen him in about a year, and we were just chit chatting a little bit. But if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, our team Instagram, the Nate Butcher Group, it's professional, but I do on the video section, I do these article reviews, and they get a little crazy. They're 30 seconds cut off with a green screen behind me, like I have here. I'm in my office now, but I always use the green screen. And I'll do a review on an article of something maybe a little controversial, like BlackRock buying up all the homes, or pricing or interest rates or something like that. So I'm sitting there, and right before I go on stage, as they're getting ready to announce me as the speaker, Glenn leans over and says, "I watch all of your rants on Instagram." And as soon as Glenn said that, and we welcome Nate Butcher to the stage with 500 people. So I go up on to the stage. I've got a frog in my throat, right? Like a lump in my stomach, because I'm like, what Glenn think matters. I mean, he's our billionaire founder. We all respect him, we love him, and he's such a great guy. But he's an intellectual genius, so he just says what he thinks. He's not chatty, right? So he goes, "I'm watching your rant." So I'm like, how in the world am I going to diffuse this? Because I have to bring out some energy for this crowd. So anyway, so what I did, I just turned it with humor, and I just told everybody what Glenn did. I said, "Hey guys, I just got on the stage, and Glenn just leaned over and said, 'I watch your rants on Instagram.'" And I said, "I don't know if he loves them or hates them." Now, the good thing is, Glenn started belly laughing. I mean, laughing pound like on the table like this. And he doesn't do anything like that ever, right? So I knew that it wasn't that bad. So it was a really good situation. It was a really good experience. The energy was high in the room. And I'm just telling you, EXP is here to stay. EXP is growing. And it was nothing but positive. And I hope the one that you guys get to go to tomorrow, I hope it's that same kind of energy that comes out. But here's what I talked to, and here's what I think relates to a lot of agents. Okay. So do I have screen share capabilities, Chris? Am I good? So I'm going to screen share you and go with you guys through just the deck I had. And let's see if we go here, screen share. All right. Let me just see if I can bring it up here real quick. Let's go. This is my 30-minute version. All right, let's do this. So this is a presentation I have, and if some of you have heard this before, I'll try to change it a little bit best I can, but basically here it was. So I'm there and I'm giving this presentation with Michael Valdez, Glenn Sanford, Gene Frederick sitting right there, all the people that I really respect, and it was just a wonderful time. But why I give the course on radical relationships is because here's what I truly believe. For 18 years, I worked as a single agent and sold, let's say, I don't want to embellish too much, 35, 40 million, but made a good 500 to some years. I love to say I made $1 million a year, but that's not the case. But some years I was able to net that much money in the good years over 18 years. But even in bad years, it's a good solid $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 income. And that's just what I did. So now I'm a team leader and I try to teach the agents on our team exactly how to do that. And that's the way that I teach. I mean, yes, we have leads on our team and things like that, but that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help the people on our team to be productive single agents through building strong relationships. And when Frank says things, because Frank and I have a great relationship, just like I do with Elgin and things like that, they know a lot about me and relationships that have been good and bad and this and that. So you learn a lot when you turn 50, right? And you're trying to hopefully tell other people the good things that you did and the bad things that you did. But when I talk about relationships, you can make, let's just say, 20 to 30 sales a year, whatever market you're in. You might be anywhere in the country. It could be California on here, or you could be Nebraska or wherever. You can make 20 to 30 sales a year, which is a good solid income in any market. Okay. You can have that, gives you a house, a car, you could take care of your family. You could do that by spending almost no money. You don't need all the fancy systems. You have everything about you. So when I'm talking about radical relationships, there's a couple of things that I want us to understand during this talk. I want us to understand the importance of building long-term relationships through prospecting, practical application, and relationship building. That's what I want to really convey to you. I'll tell you a funny story. The first time that I really learned how powerful a relationship was with my grandmother. She had crippling arthritis. She was in her 80s. And when I grew up, we lived in a very small town, about 3,000 people. The whole county only had 2 high schools and maybe 15,000 in West Virginia. Well, I could see my grandmother's house. We lived in the country and it was about a half a mile from mine. And she would always sit on this little sun porch and she couldn't move a whole lot. She was, very old. And I would go sit and watch The Price is Right with her. And I'm not talking about the new Price. I'm talking about Bob Barker, the real Price is Right, right? So we would watch all the games and everything. And I did this for years. So I knew everything about The Price is Right. So we had a really good relationship because there was nothing expected from my grandmother. She expected nothing from me. We just watched The Price is Right together. That was our thing. Well, when I got out of high school and got married, I wanted to go to the military and I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. So Amy and I got married right out of high school. I married my high school sweetheart. We've now been married for 33 years and we set out across the country. But my grandmother didn't care anything about me being, I'm going to the military to do all this cool stuff. She cared about what I knew as The Price is Right. So that led into that relationship. So she's like, Nate, you have to go see Bob Barker since you're going to California, because when you're from a small town, California, they don't understand how big California. So I did, because of that relationship, I took my mom and Amy, my dad, and we all went to right in LA. We all went to just be in the audience on The Price is Right. Well, the next thing I know, they do a little interview. They kind of shuffle you through. They set you in. I'm sitting there and Nate Butcher, come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right, right? Well, from watching The Price is Right all this time, I throw up my hands, I run down. I know exactly how to act. I get up there and I'm on The Price is Right. Next thing you know, I got the game right. I get up on the stage, I win $1,000 on the wheel, win everything I could win, and I'm on the showcase showdown of The Price is Right, right? So I go, next thing you know, they come up, I do the bids, all these things, and I win the showcase showdown on The Price is Right. Now, remember, at that time, I'm making about $11,000 a year in the Navy. And I won $19,900 worth of prizes on The Price is Right. So I thought I was rich, right? Well, in the long version of this story, if we were on stage and I had an hour and a half, I would tell you it wasn't all the glory, but the good thing about it is I was on the front page of my hometown paper. Local boy hits it big in California, wins The Price is Right. Okay. So that relationship and all the things that I did in the military and stuff, that meant more to my grandma. She kept that until the day she died, that the clipping of the paper. So it was just a really cool thing that I did, and that was a strong relationship. Well, when I was in the military, what I learned was when I was in the military, what I learned was when you do things that are really, really hard with people, there's a bond there. So when I was in Navy SEAL training, it took me a while to qualify. Yeah, it takes about a year going through qualification processes. I qualified. I went to California. I went to basic underwater demolition school there. Okay. And I was there for a while. It was brutal. We just went through so much tough stuff. And I ended up breaking my leg in training, tearing a piece of my leg in training. And I never will forget the disappointment. I fell on a run and I hurt my knee, tried to get up, couldn't walk. And this lieutenant, I'll never forget, tried to pick me up. And they said, leave him, he's done. And I watched my class run off down through the down through Coronado at the Coronado Hotel. That's where the school is. So I remember the disappointment that happened. Now, the good thing about it is I was doing really well when I was there. And they said, Nate, you could come back. It's not a problem. Go get better. They sent me to run a shooting range. And I did that for the rest of my Navy. I got ready to go back. Now, when it came time to get out the military, I decided not to go back, even though I trained for it. I was going to go back. It's a huge regret that I have. But what I learned was those relationships that I made with those guys from going through something so tough stuck with me. So instead of turning that into a major loss in my life, even though today I still feel kind of sick over not trying it again, I really wish I would have tried it again. I took that as a positive, and I went to the rest of my business and the rest of the things I do with that kind of mindset, meaning I'm not ever going to lose like that again. I never want to be a loser like that again, because when I went back to the regular Navy, nobody cared about my excuses. They just cared that I was a dropout. Okay. They didn't care that I got hurt. They didn't care that I was able to go back. I just got, you're another guy who didn't make it as a SEAL. But what I did is I turned that into a positive thing, and I took that with me. So when I got out, I got hired with the Los Angeles Police Department. So when I went with the Los Angeles Police Department, that is another group of relational people. There's a brotherhood there. And that's what I'm trying to bring to the real estate industry, that we were in tough things together. We were in shootouts together, fights together, knife fights. I got my car shot up. I've been in all these crazy things. But when you go through things like that with that group of individuals you work for, you build those solid relationships. Now, I know the real estate business isn't the military and it's not the police department. But if you think about things, as long as I've known Frank or as long as I've known Elgin, I consider we've went through some tough times in this real estate market. I know that we've had different conversations and different relationships. So that relationship has its own box and has its own place in your life. So what I want you to think about when you're dealing with your clients is think about relationships. Here's the definition. When I say radical, here's what I want you to think about. The relationship, not in a crazy way, not in something that's unexplainable or a stocky type mentality, but it's meaningful, it's connective, it extends beyond a single deal. The term radical in this context, it doesn't necessarily refer to anything extreme or drastic. It's just a departure from the conventional approach, meaning keep the relationship for life. Okay. So when we look at what does radical mean, or why do I use the word radical? Does anybody know who these guys in these pictures are, right? That's the legend, Gene Frederick, right? And my friend Morgan Gonzalez. So when I got into EXP, I was so excited. Elgin got me involved and was telling me all about it. And I'm asking Elgin a million questions, and he just got into, so he didn't know everything yet. He does now, but not yet. So basically, I called Gene Frederick. I called Brent Gov, and I called Gene Frederick, and I said, Gene, I want to sit with you. I want you to tell me how I can succeed in this business. Well, he goes, well, Nate, you're in LA and I'm in Napa on vacation, but if you want to come and see me, I could have breakfast with you maybe before my wife gets up one morning. So I drove all the way to Napa through the night and met Gene at a Starbucks in Napa. before the missus got up, and so I didn't ruin their vacation. And he ended up sitting with me for 5 hours at that Starbucks and wrote out my business plan. And you can see he did it in marker. Okay, so really cool picture, something I keep. So I have a relationship with Gene, but what I want you to know is relationships can be put in boxes, and that's what we're going to talk about. So here's the thing. I've never been out to, well, I think maybe once, but in all the time I've known Gene, he's not been my best friend. We haven't been golfing. We don't talk every day, but I have a good, strong, valuable relationship. And this is what you need to have with your clients. So when you're building relationships for your clients, you have to make sure they are in the right context. So if you're writing this down, I want you to think about this. You're going to put your relationships with your clients in boxes, and you want to keep your client in the honeymoon phase. You want to keep your clients in the honeymoon phase forever. So how do you do that? The first thing you do is you want to make sure that relationship is relevant. You want to make sure it's relevant to your business and where do they fit? And you're going to understand this when I'm finished, okay? Is the relationship relevant? Is it in the relevant box? Okay. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure the relationship is authentic, meaning you need to be who you are. And you have to remember this, write this down. You don't need all people. You just need your people. So you need to be authentic in who you are and the people that you attract. No matter who a person is, there's a certain group of people who are attracted to them and a certain group of people who are repelled by them. And that's the way the good Lord made us. So we weren't all the same. There's people that I'm just way too chatty for that would already chimed off of this Zoom, right? But then there's other people who are inspired by the inspiration and the motivation because I have passion in what I do. There's people, Frank acts one way. He attracts certain people. Elgin attracts certain people. Carolyn, I see, is on here. You know, she's very meticulous. Just the few times that I've spoken to her, and she wants to do really well, and she's going to be so successful but I don't know her that well. So there's different types of relationships. Okay. So I want you to be able to keep your clients in the honeymoon phase. And remember, we're going to keep your clients in a certain type of box. All relationships are good. Just because they're not the same doesn't mean they're bad. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to define the relationship. You want to make sure it's relevant to your business. You want to make sure it's authentic and you want to define it. What does it mean? What is this relationship I have with the person? You want to make sure it's irreplaceable, meaning they can't replace you. You want to be so good at your job and what you do, you cannot be replaced. That relationship is going to be there. You need to make sure that you are consistent in continuing that relationship with the appropriate amount of contact, consistent and appropriate, so you can keep that relationship forever, meaning it's going to be long lasting. So it needs to be relevant, authentic, defined, irreplaceable, consistent, appropriate, and long lasting. What's appropriate mean? What do you mean, Nate, an appropriate relationship? A business relationship. Guys, do not get a couple and ask the lady out to lunch to talk about real estate. That's not appropriate. Don't send video text, which you all should be texting to one and not the other. Make sure your actions are appropriate as far as business. For an example, if I have a young couple and I'm trying to help them sell their house or buy their house, and I'm going to send them a video text, which are very, very powerful, I'll send it to both of them. Or I'll put us on a group chat. I'll do everything I can to make sure the relationship always seems appropriate. But let's put the relationships in the box. So what does that mean? You do not have to be best friends with your clients. You actually don't want to be best friends with your clients. I have about 5 groups of friends that we've known each other for 20 some years. Those are my clients, but you know what? Or those are my core friends, but I don't really get much business from them because we're way too close. Okay. Those are the people in my church, my Bible study, people that I've known since my 20s. Yeah, I've sold their homes and stuff like that, but I don't consider them a business relationship. Don't fall into the trap of making all of your clients your best friends. That's the quickest way to lose business. It gets too incestuous. But what you also want to understand that all relationships can be good even if they're not the same. Meaning my relationship with my wife of 33 years is way different than the relationship with my sons, but they're both amazing. My relationship with one son is different than the relationship with the other son, but one is not better than the other. It's different, right? Different people in different boxes, different clients in different boxes. Okay. So that's what it's okay to do that. Is it okay to cut off some relationships? Absolutely. Many relationships are just for a season. If something starts to get toxic, then it's okay to let that relationship go. Okay. But what you want to do is you want to be able to choose what relationship comes and goes. You want to be able to be in charge of those relationships, because this is what you need: 300 relationships, 300 in the appropriate box gives you a career of 250 to 500,000, depending on your price point. Now that's what I'm talking about. I'm not here to tell you how to make millions and millions of dollars. What I'm trying to do is talk to a person who has a family, who has a spouse, who has kids, who's trying to live a well-balanced life, but wants to be in the real estate business and have a good life. When you have 300 relationships, here's the statistic. You will sell 10% of those relationships if they're done properly. And I'm going to tell you how to do them properly. You'll sell 10% of those relationships homes a year. Now, that doesn't mean that out of 300 people, 30 will move. No, it means 10 might move, 10 might give you a referral, 10 come from your sign calls, open houses. But if you work a relationship of 300 people, you should be able to sell 30 homes a year. Let's say you miss the mark and sell 20. 20 in California at our price point is over $250,000 without spending any money. Please write this down. If your relationship is not in your phone, it doesn't exist. But on the same sense, if it's not in your CRM, it does not exist. If your relationship is not documented with notes in your CRM, Sierra, Follow Up Boss, KV Core, whatever you use, KW Command, Chime, it doesn't make any difference. If you don't have notes and they are not consistently followed up on, that relationship is no good. You're just moving from one person to the other. So what I say is, would you rather make 300 cold calls, open houses every weekend? Would you rather do all of that year after year after year? Or would you rather spend 3 years taking 3 people to coffee once a week, maybe 2 people to coffee once a week? Okay. That's how you get the relationship when you meet face to face. Having someone that you met at an open house one time is not a relationship. Having someone who just knows you is not a relationship. Sitting down with them on a one-on-one, that is what a true relationship is. So it's okay to have all these other lead sources. That's fine. But until you turn it into a true relationship, you don't have a solid business. You're chasing your tail. You're chasing new business all the time. Why chase new business when you can just take orders? I wish I would have kept all my relationships. I only have 600. I should have about 14 or 1,500 out of the amount of houses I sold as a single agent. It's more now because we have a team. But out of that 600, if I worked those, I could close 60, which is what I basically did as a single agent, 50, 60, 70. One time I did 100 and some in a crazy market, but realistically, I was about a 5 deal a month agent. That gave me a really good income, and it was all through relationships. I spent no money. Now that I have a team, I'm broke all the time. Okay. So I'm doing that for a different reason. But as a single agent, you can sell 20, 30, 40 houses a year just with relationships. Okay. Meet those people face to face. Now, where do you find these lead sources, all these relationships? You say, well, Nate, I talk to a lot of younger people too, new agents coming in the business. When we have agents come on our team, a lot of people who are brand new. I don't know 300 people. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So they're in your church. Those people are in your church. Get to know them. Those people are at your kids' ball games. Get to know them. The best thing you can do if you're a lady or a man too, but is be the team mom of your kids. Carolyn, I can still see your face. I don't see everybody. You have kids, right? You have kids. And I don't know if you are or not. We haven't had this conversation, but one of the best things you can do is because you get involved as a mother with your children and their sports, if they're older things. But what I'm saying is get the groups of people who know you on other levels, and then let everybody know that you're a true real estate professional. You want to get them to the coffee meeting. You want to get them to the table, but that's where you find them. If you're working cold leads and you're working with other people, that lead is no good to you. See, we all sell the same leads all over the country. It's a phone number. On the other end of that phone number is a person. That person, even if they can't buy a house, you need them as one of your 300 relationships. So you ask that person to coffee. Now, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Well, I don't want to buy a house right now. Well, I'm not asking you to buy a house. Here's what you say. Here's how within 3 years you develop that $20,000 to $30,000 a month income. You say, look, I am a true professional real estate agent, and I would love to give you a presentation. I understand that you're not looking to buy a home right now. And you may not be for years, but I would really just like to earn your business or maybe your referral business. Would you just sit with me for coffee? Let me buy you a coffee just for 20 minutes to show you what I do. So if any of your family and friends may need, I would love to get to know you better. Now, once you get to that meeting, you're going to say it's 20 minutes, but you need to plan an hour and a half on your schedule. Because when you get to the meeting, I'm going to tell you what to tell you. I'm going to suggest here's some things to talk about. And that's going to get that relationship, and that's going to put it in your 300, and you're going to sync the 300 with your phone. And then you're going to have the 300 relationships in your phone with a category, and you're going to have those 300 relationships in your CRM. And we're going to tell you how to you'll just take orders after 3 years. Okay. You'll just take orders. And you could build that to 600. I think Neil Weichel has 1,500 and he does 150 deals. It's just math and relationships. So if you don't know anybody, if you're just new to California, new to a place, and here's what you do. You join three organizations, something that you're passionate about. Maybe you love to cook, or you love to bake, or you love to go on walks, or you're a hiker. Maybe you're a spear fisherman. Maybe you like to ride dirt bikes. It doesn't matter what it is. Get involved in three organizations where there's a large group of people and let them know that you're a true professional. And the way that you let them know is you ask permission to present to them what type of a real estate agent you are. One thing that you need to put in that presentation is how you make people off of investment properties. You will never offend a person if you're trying to come from a financial standpoint as a financial advisor. If you're trying to sit with them to sell their house, they will not meet with you. If you're trying to sit with them to show how you can maybe in the future increase their portfolio, they'll sit with you. Okay. Does that make sense? That's how you're going to do it. Now,
Nate, can I ask you a question very fast?
yeah, of course.
Really quick, how do you differ from actually being on the board? Or you're not saying get on the board or anything. You're just saying being part of the group, right? Like
You
of
could do
those
it anyway.
organizations.
Great question. Great question. So I'm saying join a group to get to know people, to build personal relationships, not around real estate, but letting everybody know that you're a pro real estate agent, right? So perfect example. Should you go to HOA meetings if you live in a big complex, right? Yes. Should you have an opinion? No. Okay. Don't be a politician. Don't be okay. Should you be a team mom if let's say your daughter plays soccer, your son plays soccer? A team mom takes a lot of organization, but why would it be good to be the team mom or an assistant? The assistant to the team mom is the best. You don't have to do all the work, but you can get the database, because when there's 30 parents right there, boom, there's 10% of your whole database. Okay. And you're going to follow those people. And then you're going to get to know them, and you're going to say, hey, I also sell real estate. I was wondering if you like to invest in real estate. Well, I don't really have any money. I never have. Well, you might know somebody. I've got some suggestions. I would really just like to get to know you better. Would you mind if I just showed you my presentation? I know you're not wanting to buy a house. You're collecting that person. You're grabbing that person, and you're developing a relationship. You don't have commission breath because you're not trying to sell them something today. You'll get your today deals by not selling today. Okay. So that's what I want. So no, you don't have to be in charge. You don't have to be the boss. You just want to set yourself up so you're a part of the group. If it's a hiking group, you just go out and walk with the ladies and the guys, and you get to know the people. And then when you're able to get them, then you transition them into, I'd like to show you what I do. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Does that help answer your question?
Perfectly. Thank you.
Cool, cool. Okay. So why do I have this picture of Brent? There's two people that I like to talk about my relationship with that might be different than what you think, but they're two of the most important relationships. Well, Glenn Sanford is one. Okay. And I make sure that I never talk to Glenn more than once every 6 months because he returns my text immediately or my phone call once every 6 months. But I know he's a billionaire and I know he's pulled in every different direction. And just the fact that he's willing to take my call and give me a smiley face, a thumbs up, and a good job, Nate. And and then he texts me back, by the way, I love your rants with an explanation point, right? That made me feel good. So now I won't talk to Glenn for another 6 months, but that relationship is in a box. That's my billionaire box. There's one person in there. Okay. So I don't want to burn that. Now I've got Gene Frederick. Gene, if I have need help with work, will help me anytime. He's a wonderful man, but I don't know him personally. Never been to dinner with him personally. Never had a lot of personal conversations. But I have a relationship with with Gene Frederick, that if I call him, he'll jump on the three-way and he'll help me. Okay. But that is a good relationship. He goes, Nate, you did a great job. He texted me after Dallas, really inspired, loved it. That meant a lot to me. But that relationship, I also don't burn. I get him when I need him, but I don't abuse it. Now, Brent Gov, now we come to a deeper relationship, but still not my best friend, right? No besties here, but I talk to Brent about twice a week. Okay. And Brent encourages me. He texts me all the time. We help each other. He needed something the other day and I needed something. So we have that relationship. He gives me, if I say, Nate, do you want to speak here? Can you help me out here? He does that. So he came to my house. This is a picture of him at my house. We were promoting his book. We had about 300 people there, half clients, half real estate agents. Was I worried about my clients going with those other agents? No, because when you raise someone else up, Brent was the third party credibility. I could intermingle those people because you will never harm yourself by raising other people up. Okay. I raised Brent up. He was my third party credibility. The people, my clients that came to that party when Brent was at my house, I wasn't worried about some other agent that was there stealing them because I already know I have the relationship with them. I don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Okay. So the relationship with Brent is in a different box. We've been to dinner a couple times, but we do FaceTime all the time, Zoom all the time, talk, different relationship. Good, but it's in a different box. Okay. So that's what you want to do with your people. So here's one thing I want to leave you with. We're getting to the end. Prospecting without the intention of building a relationship for the long term is a waste of time. So when you say, how long are these relationships in your business? You want to keep them for life. Here's how you know you're doing a good job. When you're keeping your clients in the honeymoon phase, meaning they think they know and see you all the time because of your social media, because you're mailing them, because you're getting touching them 24 to 35 or 40 times. They're getting your emails. They're seeing you're contacting them. You're leaving voice memos. The number one thing you can do to your clients is leaving voice memos, meaning go to your text, hit voice memo. Say, hey, Sally, I just saw you and Jim got back from your vacation. It looked like you had a wonderful time in Cabo. I wish I could go, but I'm just working all the time, always selling real estate. But I wanted to let you know it looked like you had a glad time. I just wanted to connect and say, I'm always thinking about you. If you need me, give me a call. That was 27 seconds. The reason I know that was 27 seconds is I leave hundreds of those. Okay. You save it on your phone. You save it so you know what you said to them and you can look back and see your conversation. So you know the last time you spoke to them, so you're not calling them too much. People want to know you're there for them, but they don't want to talk to you. It's too much. They don't want to get Nate on the phone. He's too chatty. 27 seconds. They know I'm there. They know I'm selling real estate. They know I'm working all the time. I want my clients to see me a certain way. I want my clients to see me as only a workaholic. So I don't post when I go to Cabo. I don't post when I go on vacation. I don't post fancy food, cars, things, anything personal other than my kids once a month and my dogs. That's it, to let them know I'm a real person. Other than that, you only see the work, Nate. So that's all that I want them to work. Now, you may have a different philosophy. You attract your people your way. I attract people my way. I don't need people in my personal business. That's just the way I do. But I want that person to hug me when I walk into Whole Foods. When I walk into Whole Foods and I'm shopping, and I haven't seen the person in a year and a half, when they hug me and act like it was yesterday, I got them. We're in the honeymoon phase. We're on good terms. They might have sent me a referral. They'll use me if they need me, but I'm not out with them all the time. Does that make any sense? My wife and I have a great arrangement. She loves to play tennis. So she plays tennis in Lake Sherwood, Malibu, North Ranch, all these expensive tennis clubs, right? But for me, that's a business deal. That goes on to my business expenses. Those, because she gets in there, gets the relationships with the ladies who make the decisions. And Nate doesn't play tennis. They go, come on, Nate, why don't you play when I'm sitting at the club? No, I got to work, guys. I got to grind. I can barely afford this place. And they'll start laughing. But then I'm working into getting those deals because I want the deals. But she goes out and makes those relationships. Okay. But you want to make those long lasting for time. How do you practically build a radical relationship with people you don't know? How do you do that? When you don't know the person, how do you do it? Here's how you do it. So if you'll notice when I started out, there's a method to the madness. So when I started out speaking to you today, what did I talk about? How many people don't love their grandmother? Is there anybody here who doesn't love your grandmother? 99% of the world loves their grandmother. So I was able, everybody here can connect to that story of my 90-year-old grandmother with crippling arthritis who loves The Price is Right. So I was able to connect. Then how many people could have been in the military here? Could have been a first responder, a police officer. The 3 stories that I told you when we first started were to have some sort of a connection. It's an example. You need to have your story. Like this is Amy and I when we were both young police officers, my wife and I. Okay. That's when we were 23. Now I'm 53. We're still there. We're still married, but it's a good connection. It's a good connection to talk about. So you want to connect with people through telling them your story. You're not trying to sell them. You're trying to connect with them. Okay. Now let's go back to the coffee meeting. When you get the coffee meeting, why did I say ask for 20 minutes, but plan for an hour and 30 minutes? Because you're going to give them just a little taste of your story. But what you really want is their story. Okay. You want to ask the right questions. The person who asks the right questions is the person who's in charge. That's the person who was in control of the conversation. Now, if you've ever heard of this, the Ford method, what do we talk about, Nate? You're going to go with your presentation to coffee. That's how you're going to get to the table. And then you're going to tell them a little story about your kids, your dogs, whatever happened that week, just anything. And then you're going to start to ask all the right questions. Well, Nate, what questions do I ask? Ask about their family. Ford. Just ask about their family. Well, how many kids do you have? Ask. If you don't know anything about them, it's easy. If you know a little bit about them, ask about their family. Then ask them how their occupation is going. How's work going? What's going on at work? Now you're already 30 minutes into the conversation, aren't you? And you haven't said anything. What are you guys doing on vacation this year? You're going to go on vacation? Ask about their recreation, things that they like. What do you want to do in the future? Like, what, you guys like to travel? You'll be lucky if you get out without 2 hours because everybody wants personal connection and nobody wants to connect anymore. And why? Here's why. Social media. Okay. Think of social media as a tool for maintaining your presence and your relationships, not a replacement for building personal connections. Okay. The challenge with the younger generation, they're connecting through social media and it's through a false pretense of what's there. If you were to watch one of my 30-second rants on my Instagram, you might think I was a big jerk. But if you scrolled down a year ago, you would see a different type of video. If you met me, you would see another video. If you're on another type of Nate. So what you want to do is the social media is just to let people know you're still out there. You're still working. Most people who say, Nate, I see all your videos. Do you really think they watch? I post 1 article a day. Do you think they really watch that whole 30 seconds? Of course not. I've got 600, almost 700,000 views on one of my last ones. No, but here's what they do say. There he is again. There he is again. There he is again. That's not a connection. That is presence. That's marketing. That's branding. Okay. That's authority. That's showing my authority in the marketplace. That's what I'm doing. So use your social media like crazy, but use that to touch people and let them know you're still working and let them know you're doing what they want. Stay away from politics, no matter which side you're on. Stay away from social issues, no matter which side you're on. You're not there to win votes. You're there to win, to sell houses. And the minute you go blue or red, you cut off half of your people. Okay. So that's my advice. Do what you want. Maybe you say, I got one guy who says he only sells to Republicans and he does it in Texas and he has a huge thing. He made it his thing. Come to the red state. And so he says he only sells to those people. So he went to a niche market and he just did it because, and he makes a lot of money. But if you're not doing that, if you're not have a plan, stay away from those types of things. Connect through family, connect through occupation, their dreams and their stuff like that. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with one thought. Just think of it this way. The most radical and far-reaching solutions often need rethinking of processes and deep questioning of the status quo. And these are hard. That's Bill Price, the entrepreneur. So those are the things to think about. Those are things to think about. It's a way to build connections and build relationships. I'm not saying there's not a million ways to succeed, because there's wonderful coaches that teach all these different ways. This is just a way that I believe that you can succeed. You could do it on a budget. You could buy some cups of coffee. But here's what I'll leave you with before I stop. The most important thing that you'll get out of it is not the money. The money will come if you have the relationships, but it's the value of the relationship. Okay. It's the value of me being here to support Frank and Michael and all of you guys and Elgin every Monday. Okay. Whether we make money or not, right? If those relationships, so don't put a price on a relationship. When you're putting them in the boxes, don't put a price on this one's going to make me this much, and this one's going to make me this much, and this one's going to make me this much. Obviously, there's certain people that we want to have different things to make as much as we can because we're doing this for a job. But you'll love your job if you're building a relationship. So Frank, that's all I have. And I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, but that's just kind
Yes.
of the version.
Let's just open up the questions for a couple of minutes. Nate, I am blown away, dude. I did not know that you attempted to be a Navy SEAL. That's the first time I found out about that.
Mhm.
That is incredible. I knew you were a police officer, and I believe you got shot on duty. Is that correct?
I didn't get hit, but I got my car shot to pieces. Yeah, 1997, there was the biggest shootout in this country's history. That movie Heat was made after.
One of my favorite movies.
The North Hollywood bank out. I was one of the
Yeah.
first in front of the bank. Yeah. So I pulled up in front of the bank and they blew me to pieces. I luckily didn't get hit. A lot of guys did that were there. But yeah, we were shooting that guy and they had ceramic body armor on. And finally SWAT came and we got it all. It was terrible. They were just shooting us up, shot our cars to pieces, and it was crazy. And that's what actually got the LAPD. They had 45s. We carried AR-15 rifles because we had to actually go to a gun store to get rifles to actually try to end those two guys because our pistols wouldn't go through their ceramic body armor, right? So
yeah, the bad guys had better weapons than you did.
yeah, but that changed the whole country, and it's a historic thing. And the reason I don't tell that story all the time is because I'm getting older, and now I tell it, and like the kids, they're like 1997. Oh, so I wasn't even born then, but for me, it feels like yesterday. So that's what we're kind of looking at. But if you guys haven't seen it, you can Google North Hollywood bank robbery, and it'll just be popping up everywhere, and it was just crazy. So it was nuts. So, but I appreciate you guys
All right.
listening.
Anybody have any questions for Nate?
Yes. I'd like to break out. Thank you, Nate. I was in the Navy myself for 4 years. I served 4 years on the USS George Washington. So thank you for your service.
All right.
Yeah, I actually saw Navy SEALs come on my ship, at the end of the day. But yeah, I believe in the relationships that you're talking about. And when you're talking about building those relationships and cultivating those for the next, years to come, I think that that's very, very important. I built relationships in my prior business with insurance. Those kind of relationships were people that I work with every single day. So I understand that, but actually getting belly to belly, that part of it, How do you get out of your mindset to, because I know that there's a lot of people, and I'm not speaking to me, I can go talk to a brick wall, but you know what I'm saying? There's people that need to get belly to belly with people. And I was told getting into this business, that was the thing that we need to do, is getting belly to belly with individuals. How do you get out of your mindset to get out the door and start meeting people and getting belly to belly with people every single day?
Yeah, I think that basically, I think having a good support system works, but I think, Ralph, you have to have confidence in yourself that you can do it, and you also have to forgive yourself sometimes for not doing it. And you need here. I've tried to do this. I try to be hard on myself and easy on others, but sometimes that doesn't always work. I try to. I think for me personally, I don't have a motivation issue. So I'm very self-motivated and I don't need anyone to pat me on the back to make me motivated. Okay, so that's just my personality. But if you're someone who needs encouragement, make sure you have a coach. Make sure you're in a group. That's why a group like this is good, right? Like it makes me a better presenter by presenting this to you and then doing it again, and you guys coming here and supporting it and knowing that there's good feedback. It makes it so much better. So, but when it comes to just doing the work, sometimes you just have to do it whether you like it or not. Like when you're talking to your agents that I know you're building a team and bringing them on, you have to say, hey guys, sometimes we do things we just don't like. Like I did this presentation this morning at 7 a.m. So I had to get up. I was in my kitchens from some group I didn't know in Texas, didn't know one soul, but they just said, please do this for my team. So I got up and did this presentation. But after it, I'm fine that I did it. I don't know if I'll ever gain anything from that, but it was consistent contribution. So I think that here's one thing I don't believe. I can't motivate any other human being, I've learned. Okay. I can give them a platform. I can give them instruction. I can give them inspiration for the moment. I might motivate them for the moment. But if they don't have an internal desire to succeed, I see Matt on here. Matt, I don't know if you're here through the whole presentation or not. But for Matt is an example of someone that's on my team. Okay. So Matt is one of the successful ones who's becoming more successful. But why do I have a huge group, but everyone isn't successful when I tell everybody the same material? Some people take the material and have action. And some people take them and just get up and leave and just don't do anything. So I think you as a leader, Ralph, and Michael and Frank and all you guys, I think we put too much pressure on ourselves.
Yep.
I think we need to deliver as leaders, and the ones that are going, when you see promise, then you grab it. You know, I've got a few of them. I mean, I could name some more, but Lucia, Matt, Julie, there's like 6 or 7 that's just like taking the information. You can tell they're team players. I can look in their face and I'm like, this is making a difference. And then I've got 10 other ones I can name, and it's just glass over. Okay. So it's just, but that those people might be soaking in more. So then I think, don't judge people, just try to contribute and let people go. Because some people, I'll tell you, for Brent, for instance, I didn't go the EXP route the way he wanted me to go, but he supported me all the time. He didn't agree with everything, but he supported it. And now I just happen to be going the way he wants me to go. But the thing is, he supports me the same now as he did then. I just decided to take the route with his coaching versus the way that I wanted to do it. So, but his support never changed. If Brent wouldn't have been there when I said, no, I think you're wrong, I think I can make this way work. Because if it would have worked, I would have been right, but I wasn't right because it didn't work. So it really doesn't matter. He was like, okay, do your thing and do this and do that. So I think, Ralph, don't put too much pressure on yourself of trying to make people successful. I'm not responsible for Matt's success. Matt's responsible for his success. He has to take accountability for his success. I'm responsible if he comes to my team and I have a platform of delivering the best that I can deliver. And then he has to decide, is that going to be for a lifetime? Is that going to be for a season? How much am I going to put in? How much can I apply to my life? That's each individual person's responsibility. So Ralph, don't put the responsibility on you for performance. Don't do that.
Nate, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm learning how to dial, and I'm a prospector, so on the phone. So I really struggle though in needing that, like you said, to find 3 organizations. But what I find in my area in Ventura, they're saturated with nothing but real estate agents. A lot of them are saturated. So how do you balance or find, because I feel like I need to do both, even for my own sanity. How do you find, or how do you know if that is the right organization you should be with, if there's more real estate agents there than people you can meet?
You pick here's what you do. I'll give you an example. You become in our industry, here's the issue in our industry, and that's why you're going to see it change with this new contract issue. It's going to flush 30% of the low-hanging fruit of the non-producers. That's a good thing, Carolyn. It's a good thing. So here's what you want to do. You want to have the most knowledge of anybody in your area. You want to have the most confidence, and you have to be able, even if you practice in the mirror, you need to articulate why you are better than everybody else, and you need to articulate the difference between you and them. If you don't see a difference, then you need to figure out the difference. You need, whether it's your niche, whether you're an investment specialist, whether you do this, whether you do that, you have to be better. So if you are the true, okay, so in my town, okay, because I've done this for so long, I never have to worry about anybody thinking that I'm not good. Okay. So I don't have to overcome that because I know my market, I know my streets, I know my this. Okay. But let's say it's in the speaking realm where I really love to get on stage and speak. Now there, I don't have the confidence that Brent does. I don't have the confidence of these wonderful speakers, like these different people, right? So what you have to do is you have to practice. So what I'm doing, why am I flying? Like Brent said, how many places do you want to go speak? I say I could do once a month. It's costing me about a couple grand. I do it for free. Why? Because I'm making myself good because I want to do it. So what you have to do, being newer, you're not newer in business. You're not newer in education. You're not newer in being a professional, and you're not newer in being an adult. You're newer in the role. So you have to be the best in the role. So you have to study, you have to teach, get every certification you can get. Really, you have to get what's going to give you confidence. See, I don't have any certifications. I don't have one certification, but I have other people on my team that every time they get a certification, it gives them confidence. So I say, go get 30 certifications so you can tell people to have your confidence. There's no letters after my name, but I don't need it because that's who I am, right? So you want to be better than them. And here's what, let's say you get in an organization, there's 10 realtors there. You want to be better. And the winner always shines. The winner always shines. It's competitive. So I just think you have to be better. You have to be better. You can't look around for, oh, there's a realtor here, I'm going to go that way. No, you're going to go there and you're going to take their business. You're going to take it. You got a Navy SEAL on that one.
All right. Well, we need to wrap this up. Nate, I'm telling you, man, what a great Zoom call today. I'm giving a golf clap to Nate. Amazing. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to reach out to Nate in the chat, if you can put your phone number down in there, that would be awesome. Nate is in Sacramento, and I'm sorry, Nate is in Santa Clarita, Valencia. I was looking at Aria and I was going, Aria's in Sacramento. I'm so sorry. Anyway, we're going to have another fantastic speaker next week. And tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be speaking on the Winner Circle Live, how to navigate through all this BS we're going through right now in this world to focus on real estate and how you stay positive. So that ought to be good. It's only for about 20 minutes, but I'm going to speaking tomorrow at 8 a.m. to about 8:20 on the same Winner Circle Live web. Chris, you got it all recorded?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if anybody wants a copy of that, this will be on the Winner Circle Live. But Nate, man, I was very impressed today. And I've known you for a number of years, and that was amazing. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah.
And
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Nate. Thank you, guys.
Right.